All right, Alana Jaylo.
Rick Hammond.
So you just had
Yes.
a meal. Tell me about it.
We had this curry-inspired dish with lentils and jasmine rice and curry sauce.
And peas.
And onions.
Yeah.
And garlic.
Garlic.
The onions and garlic, I did. I chopped up some onions and garlic.
Nice.
Took a while, though.
Nice. Well, you're not used to chopping up things.
Not onions.
Not onions.
I'm telling you, onion choppers is a way to go.
I've never even heard of a chopper until you brought that to my attention.
No, you should look into it because that'll save you a lot of time and you won't cry.
Well, for me, it's really fast to chop up onions. Like I can do a big onion in about a minute and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But I do cry a lot. But I look at it like I have a really horrible relationship with my father. So I like to think about him when I'm chopping up onions. In case anybody else is around, I can just blame it on the onions. I feel like I get a lot out of my system that way.
Well, that is a good excuse to cry, but
yeah.
But I don't want to cry when I'm having to chop onions. Is what I'm saying.
Now, what did you think of the dessert?
It was awesome. It was really good,
Mm.
and I think the best part of it was the cream cheese frosting we made.
Well, what did we make?
We made a velvet cake.
Yes.
It was a brown cake.
Brown velvet.
Brown velvet. Anyway, we decided not to make it red, but it turned out really good.
AKA, I did not want to buy food coloring.
Yeah. Well, you could have used beet juice.
I could have, but I don't know how that would affect the taste of the cake.
I don't think it would. Maybe it won't affect it that much. I don't know.
I think there's just one way to try it. You know,
Yeah.
you just got to do it at some point.
You just gotta do it. Yeah. Yep.
So this is a new year.
It is a new year.
What are your feelings about the new year? Like, well, first of all, what were your thoughts on 2018? Was it a good year? Obviously every year is mixed.
Yes.
But what were some takeaways from 2018?
Well, I met you in 2018.
That's right.
That's right.
You sold me from a mall.
What?
I was hanging out with my mom. I got you. You had this lollipop, and you pulled me away from her. I still haven't seen her since.
I never met his mom.
No.
I never met your mom.
No.
No, that probably was a different story. Although that would have been a funny story.
Thank you.
No, it was the open mic thing.
That was great.
It was great. I honestly didn't expect it to happen the way it did.
No.
Yeah.
No, but it was cool. Definitely meeting you was a highlight of my year. You and your nose.
I would say the same thing.
Yes.
And it was definitely unexpected for both of us.
Yes. So, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions.
I'm not either because I don't make them anymore.
Okay. You used to make them.
Yeah, but that didn't last very long.
What led to the end of these resolutions?
Oh, because I never followed through with them.
Okay.
I always said, I'm going to do this, but then it was never a goal, It was just like, oh, I'm going to try to do this.
And then you would just not follow through.
Not follow through with it, yeah.
So for me, it's kind of the same thing with New Year's resolutions. I don't like doing it because of those reasons, but I am a big fan of... So I sort of look at the beginning of the new year. It's symbolic of starting a different chapter, especially for me since it comes like 6 days after my birthday.
Right.
So I sort of look at it as a good opportunity to take assessments and not really set resolutions, but think about what I want to happen in the following year.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you do anything similar to that. Are there goals you have for this year that aren't really resolutions, but that you would like to have happen?
No, and even if I don't reach a goal for the last year, like if I don't reach a certain goal the year previous, then I'll set it for this year.
Okay.
Or I'll add to the goals of mine that I already have.
But it's not like you think to yourself, in 2019, I got to get this done.
No. You can't do that.
Okay.
I don't think you should put a timeline on it. And I've thought about putting timelines on things, but I'm like, no, I don't want to. That's a lot of pressure.
What about the argument that sometimes we need pressure to force us to move forward in life?
I think for some things, yes. Like things that are immediate. Moving, if you have to move, of course. things that need to be things that need to be done right away. I understand that you have to have a timeline, but things like like weight loss or I don't think you have to have a specific timeline unless there's something that's really important that you need to do that for. And I'm using weight loss as an example. Well, it could be anything really.
Right, but so weight loss is something that you could move over to the next year, is what you're saying. It's not that important.
It's not that not for me anyway.
Yeah.
But for some people, it may be more important to get it done during whatever year it is.
You're also a good size. Like, you're not overweight. You're not like 800 pounds.
No. I'm definitely not 800 pounds.
No. We would not be dating if that was the case.
I don't think so either. No, I am not very big. No.
Which is good for me.
Good for me too.
That is very good for me.
I'm more limber that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think of the idea, though, of setting weekly goals? Because I know I used to... Tony Robbins, who I know you're not a fan of.
Well, I don't even know much about him anyway.
He's a really interesting guy, and there's this cool documentary about him on Netflix called I Am Not Your Guru. And it's a little bit... There are parts of it that feel like a little bit phony, if we're going to be honest. But overall...
Which parts, though?
So, there is one scene, and I saw the movie when it first came out a couple years ago, so I don't remember everything. But, for example, there's one scene where he talks about how he randomly picks people out of the crowd to talk to. Then the next scene is him talking to some of his advisors, who work slightly under than him, and they're giving him backstories on these people that he should talk to in the crowd, right? That was one scene. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was like, okay, that's just a white lie. Another scene that upset me in the movie, he's talking to this woman who's, there to participate in the seminar. And she goes into this thing about how she's in a horrible relationship with her boyfriend.
Right.
They've been together for, I forgot how many years, but it was like 7 years.
It's a long time.
I could be off by the number, but it was years, so they worked together. And he says to her, all right, well, we're going to call her. That's my Tony Robbins impression, which is not that good. But he's like, all right, we're going to call her. We're going to call we're going to call him. We're going to call your boyfriend, and you're going to break up with him.
Yeah,
while there's this crowd.
That's not right.
And he says to her, all right, so you're making this decision by your own. I'm not pressuring you at all. Meanwhile, she's in front of a huge group of people. And there's obviously some social pressure to make this phone call and dump this guy. I felt that was a little bit manipulative.
I thought that was that's putting her in a really awkward position.
It said at the end of the film. It said at the end of the film that they got back together too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't think she should have done it. She shouldn't have felt pressure to do it.
No, so there are a few things that are like, that's a little bit out there.
That is.
But I do think that he gives some good advice.
Okay.
And I did this audio program that he released some years ago. It's called Getting the Edge. One of the big takeaways was doing a Sunday check-in and setting weekly goals for yourself. And so he says you should have these lists of things you want to accomplish, and there are things on the list that are labeled as musts. Like, it would be really good if I did this. For example, it's really good if we made dinner tonight, right?
Right.
But if we didn't make dinner, we could have just like ordered out or gone somewhere. So it's a must. It's like it's a should, but it's not a must.
Right.
A must would be like I have to do this week. A lot of things are depending on it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I think I said must and should wrong earlier, but yeah, the
I
must
know
are
what you meant, yeah.
you know what I meant. And so I thought that was really good advice. And I actually did that for a couple of years after listening to that program. And I'm thinking about going back to it. What do you think of the idea of weekly goals?
I've never tried that, but it's something to look into. I know some people make lists, like to-do lists or schedules and everything. And I like making mental lists in my head. But it wouldn't hurt to try doing like a weekly goal. Because there's some things I gotta get done, and there are things where I find myself procrastinating with, and I'm just like, I really need to get this done because it's really, It should have been done a long time ago, but I really need to get this done, with, whatever is important. So that's something that I think I should look into.
I'll tell you a little bit more of my January ritual, if you don't mind. And I've been doing this since 2016. I started doing it slightly after my mom died.
Mm-hmm.
Is, for me, January is a month to where I really hammer down on reading self-help books, listening to podcasts that are more aspirational. Some people might say inspirational, but I say aspirational.
Mm-hmm.
And I do... I look in the mirror in the mornings and I do like incantations or speeches to myself about what I can accomplish and what I've done so far in life.
You're talking about like affirmations?
Yeah, affirmations. I like to do that in the month of January, not all year round because I think that's silly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think doing it in the month of January, it sort of jumpstarts my year the correct way.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I've never tried that. I don't usually do that in January. I think you're the only person I know that does it in January, but I think it sounds like it really works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alana,
Yes.
the last time we talked,
Yeah.
we spoke about a confederacy of dunces.
Yes.
Tell me more. Enlighten me on what's been going on since then.
So, really funny stuff, like the part when he becomes a hot dog vendor because he's fired from Levy Pants. Of course, I've listened to more after that, but it was just so funny that he got into a confrontation with George, the orphan.
Yep.
And tried to make it look like George stole 4 hot dogs from his cart when he actually was the one who ate 4 hot dogs.
Well, I also like the protest, going back a little ways, I like the protest of
Oh,
Levy
that was so funny. And it went awry. And I mean, I thought it was so funny when he was being carried over this table.
And he was like freaking out that they weren't going to be able to put him down on the table correctly.
And I always wondered, well, what is he doing on the table? That's what I was thinking, like, I wonder how this came about. Huh. And especially when he came to the office, he came to the factory, and Mr. Gonzalez heard a cheering.
Yeah.
They're like, yay! And I thought, oh, maybe they're cheering because somebody's having a baby or somebody's getting a promotion or whatever it is. But it was because, they were making a fool out of Ignatius Riley. It was just so funny.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he wearing just a sheet?
No, he asked, so he had that big sheet from his room, right? Mm-hmm. And he asked the 2 women to carry the sheet in between them. And, they're like, oh, it's disgusting. I'm not going to touch this one,
Yeah.
And it was disgusting.
I love in the book how Miss Trixie keeps calling him Gloria.
Yes. Speaking of Miss Trixie.
Yes.
I'll tell you about the part that was before they're at Santa's house, and at that party where Mrs. Riley and Patrolman Mancuso is at his aunt's house. Mm-hmm. Miss Trixie ends up in the Levy's house, and Mrs. Levy wants to help her so much. Like, oh, she's psychologically damaged. She needs to feel like she's wanted and needed because she's old.
She still has life left in her.
Yeah.
If my husband is ruining her.
And in turn ruining his life, and he's a failure and all this other stuff, and she lost all faith in her husband because he just kind of gave up and let the business go to ruins. Mm-hmm. and then and Trixie's like, I need to go back to Levy Pants at once. And it seems like this is when she starts to really come out. And they're trying, the Mr. Levy's thinking that she doesn't know anything because she's senile, or maybe she pretends to be senile.
Yeah.
We don't know much. I mean, I don't know much about her yet.
I kind of have a theory on that, but I've finished the book several times, so I'm not going to share that theory right now.
Okay, but I just thought it was funny, like, yeah, you fired Gloria. How she came up with Gloria. It's like, you fired the one person, and Mrs. Levy's getting upset. You fired the one person that was her friend. He's like, yeah, Gloria gave me socks and luncheon meat. And Mr. Lee was like, socks and luncheon meat? Oh boy. And so the part that I'm at, this is when Patrolman Mancuso has this horrible cold because I guess he was in the restroom for so many days, the bathroom for so many days, and trying to arrest people, and he arrests George because he thinks he's a weird character, a suspicious character.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes the book that Ignatius's mother gives to him.
From Ignatius.
From Ignatius, a consolation of philosophy.
By Boethius.
Yep. And he hits him on the head with it and takes the book. And it was just so funny because Mancuso has this cold, like, you're under arrest. So funny. It was so pathetic, it was funny. You know?
What do you think of the letters between Ignatius and Myrna Minkoff?
It's like she's a crazy activist / nymphomaniac.
Tell me more about Myrna Minkoff. Pretend I don't know about her. Explain to me Miss Minkoff.
Well, she thinks that Ignatius needs some, like, kind of a sexual revolution in his life because she feels like he's not doing anything with his life, and she wants to incorporate sex in politics.
Sometimes I feel like I'm Myrna Minkoff in our relationship, but go ahead. Keep talking.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think you're much more
manly for one thing.
Yeah. I don't think you're quite like her. I don't know if I could handle somebody that's like her.
Okay.
That would just drive me crazy. But then she writes, and she sends these letters in these weird envelopes, and he's reading this. I think she was talking about this folk singer that she met, and how she was so enlightened by this guy, and then she also talked to Ignatius about. If you're thinking about being the landlord for the play, forget it. It's off.
No, I think it was a movie. So early on,
a movie, yes.
Miss Minkoff sends Ignatius a letter, and they used to go out, right?
Yes.
Which
is really surprising to me, honestly.
Well, opposites attract.
Yeah, but they're real opposites.
Yeah, they're like. Well, we're not as opposite as they are.
No, we're not. We're not like totally like off the rails.
Different planets. It seems like.
Yeah.
But early on in the book, she sends him this letter, and she talks about. It was a play. I thought it was a film.
It was a film. I'm sorry. It was a film.
It was,
that was right.
No worries. I mean, I confused must and should earlier. I'm sure somebody just heard that. They'd be like, "What? Why would you phrase it like that?" But anyways, Miss Minkoff thought she was going to get some money from her father to produce this independent film, and she wanted Ignatius to play the landlord.
Yes.
Then she sends him a follow-up letter. And that's one that you were talking about.
Yes.
Where she's like, if you wanted to play the landlord in the film, it's off now.
Yeah, it's off now. Forget it.
Right.
Because Samuel is no longer in it, and Leola is she's talking about the people that were supposed to be in it, and they've completely dismantled. They completely disbanded, and they weren't as committed. It sounds like.
And he's just reading this in the bathtub.
Yes, he's reading in the bathtub. He's in warm water. He tells his mom to go to the oven and get her muscatel like she usually does, being as rude as he is to her, and by the way, poor Mrs. Riley is trying to figure out what to do with him.
What did you think of when he came home and told her about his new job as a weenie vendor?
I thought it was I thought it was so funny because she's like, I spent about 5 minutes guessing.
No, it was like 20, wasn't it?
No, it was 5 minutes.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was 20.
I don't know. Maybe you were thinking that something else was in 20 minutes.
Maybe.
The food from your oven was in 20 minutes.
Guys, we're going to be done with this in 20 minutes, and then me and Lana are going to do something. But until then, so she spends all this time guessing.
Yes.
And she can't guess what it is.
No, she can't.
And then finally he tells her, and her response is not one of joy.
Oh, no, she's very upset. He's a hot dog vendor. I mean, can you imagine? She acted like it was the most horrible job in the world. Because of his education, he could have been doing something a lot more better with his life.
He could have been teaching medieval studies. And...
Yeah, he could have been going to like medieval Renaissance fairs and participating in those.
Oh my God.
But I think even he was too puritanical for that.
I think so too.
Way too puritanical for that.
So you're still not done with the book, but you're further along. But also because of the holidays, you weren't in town. You were hanging out with family. So
yes, I was.
So there's, a reason for that. But you're getting closer and closer to the end.
I think so, yeah. Little by little.
Then we're going to have to start on other books.
Yeah, I'm thinking about continuing a series that I started, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Because I didn't read books 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now 8.
They released an 8th one?
It's called The Cursed Child.
So we're talking about Harry Potter,
It's a play.
obviously.
It's a play.
It's a play.
I still want to read it.
We can read it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read the books. I wouldn't mind revisiting the books.
Oh yeah, they're so fun to read, and it's so, it's so much more. It's a lot, more fun and humorous. And
why did you stop after the second one?
I still don't know why. I just did. I don't know why. It's like I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I do remember the first times I read those 2 books. I could not put it down. It was that I was so engulfed in it. I was so engaged with it.
I like the first 2 books, but I think the story really starts getting good around book 3.
And I heard that it starts getting darker in book 4 because of the Dementors, and they were more prominent in the Goblet of Fire.
You're gonna have to read on to find out. But
Yes,
it's some good stuff.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the Hunger Games?
I didn't read it.
You didn't watch or read it.
I watched one of the movies. I think it might have been the Hunger Games, the first one. It was interesting.
I think that the Hunger Games series, and I know a lot of people will disagree, I think it's better than Harry Potter. And I really like Harry Potter too.
Some people would probably agree with you because some people like the Hunger Games, but I heard it's really violent too.
I'm a big fan of both, but I think Hunger Games, in my mind, is a slightly better, just because, it's 3 books instead of 7. All 3 books are pretty good. I have some issues with the 3rd one, but even that, it's still a really good book.
But when I saw the movie, and I think it was the first one, is there a title for the first one, or is it just The Hunger Games?
I haven't seen them, but I believe it's just called The Hunger Games. I could be wrong, but that's where we're going to go with for today.
But the first movie I saw, I didn't know about what The Hunger Games was about, but I also didn't realize how violent it was supposed to be. Because in the movie, the person that was in charge, one of the people that was in charge of the Hunger Games would say, "Happy Hunger Games, everybody." And I thought, what is this about? But it was a really good movie.
The books were great, and a lot of people died in the books, and they're really, really powerful books. But they were inspired by an amazing book called Battle Royale, which is a Japanese book that I want to say came out in the late 90s. That I read in 2018, and it was one of the best books I read last year.
Wow. Interesting.
Very, very good stuff.
So let me ask you, what would be some of your goals for the new year?
Some of my goals for the new year are, one, to show up authentically. And I know the word authentic is a word that a lot of inauthentic people like to use. Like, I'm so authentic, I'm Portland,
right.
I'm authentic. And they use that, and then they somehow creep away whenever something serious comes up, right?
Right,
Unless it has to do with an issue that they're dealing with that they want your help on. But I want to show up more authentically. I want to be less angry this year. And I want to procrastinate less. So, for example, I really don't know how to swim. And last year, I had the goal of learning how to swim by the end of the year.
Right.
I did all right in the sense that I got on a dragon boat team, and we did reasonably well, but I never built on the momentum of that. So I think this year I really have to build on that and dedicate myself to learning how to swim. Those are some simple goals for this year.
Okay.
But you don't have any.
I never said I didn't have any.
What are your
I wanted
goals?
to ask you.
Okay, what are your goals for this year?
And these are just goals that I've been thinking about over the last year or two.
Build yourself a vibrator.
Oh, will you stop it?
Sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
I really would like to find a suitable place, whether it's a studio or even if I'm sharing a place in a good location.
Alana lives way out there.
How out there?
I think it's a far distance from here.
Well, it's closer to Gresham, but it's still within, Southeast Portland.
I really don't like Gresham, but keep talking.
There's also another reason why you shouldn't like Gresham either, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay.
After this thing.
So go ahead. Your goals. Finding a better spot in a better location.
A better location with a really good walkable area. I think even before I met you, I always wanted to find places where I could walk to do more walking as well. I want to get closer and closer to finding a job that I really do love, whether it's in the music industry or not. And I'd like to find more performance opportunities, whether it's an open mic or whether I join an ensemble of some kind.
You have a couple music degrees.
Yeah. Well, one is a certificate, and the other one is an actual degree.
Is an actual degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some good goals.
Yeah.
So winding this down, a few questions I have for you.
Okay.
What are some goals or intentions you have over the course of the next week?
I have not thought about that. I do know that I have an appointment with.
Maybe we don't go, but you have an appointment with somebody.
I have an appointment with somebody. I won't go into that.
Okay.
No, but I also am waiting for an important phone call too. That has to do with my
living situation.
No.
Work.
Yes. I have to do an assessment.
Nice.
Whether in person or on the phone. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Those are my immediate goals.
And then another question I have, and this, answer this however you want to. How have you been showing self-love to yourself recently?
Well, I don't know. I think the only thing I can think of, because it was just the holidays, and I was with my family, and I had some time to relax, and I didn't read much or listen much to my book, but I had some time to relax, and I also had some time to really reflect on how good it was to be with my family, because I don't see them much because I don't have any family here, and I cherish those times, especially during this season. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that does. So it's sort of like seeing your family was good for you because you love them so much.
And also, too, my aunt and uncle are getting ready to move out of their house that they lived in for 20 years. And I do remember, because I remember the day that we moved into that house. And just reflecting over, like, wow, I'm going to miss this place. And, where are they going to live next? And am I going to like the next house? Because I'm sure, they'll want me over. And just thinking about, well, is this the last time I'm ever going to be in this house? And just enjoying it. And, yeah. So.
One last thing then.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan to show yourself self-love within the next couple of days or even the next week?
That I haven't thought of. I have not thought about yet. I'll have to think about it more. I don't know. What about you?
I'm going to work on my Tony Robbins impression. But I still think it's going to suck. Another thing that I'm going to do, though, seriously, is take meditation more seriously. So I am somebody who meditates fairly frequently, but I go in spurts. So I'll have a couple months to where I'm really good, and I'll meditate every single day. And then I'll go, a few more months to where I don't meditate at all. Mm-hmm. Or I'll meditate maybe once or twice a week.
Well, there's one thing that I haven't done in a long time, And you know that I like to read my Bible in the morning.
Oh, I've heard that's a good book.
It's a very good book.
Yeah, that's because they always say the good book.
It is.
It was a dumb joke, but go ahead.
It was. Anyway, but I was...
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I was thinking of maybe this year starting to journal again, from what I've read, because I used to do that a lot, and my understanding from what I've read has definitely gotten more different than how I took things in before. And I need to do that because it really helps with memorization also, and just to what I can do to apply what I've read to my life, because I think it's very important. It's my spiritual nourishment of the day, and I think it's important than anything else. So I really want to start journaling again, because I really find it's really good for me.
I love journaling. I've been journaling since I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling, I think, with meditation is really powerful for me.
Mm-hmm.
I once heard Tara Brach say something to the effect of, meditation alone is nice, but it's really not going to be that powerful for you. But she said, meditation combined with another self-love practice can really help take you to the next level. And I think for me, when I'm journaling and meditating on a frequent basis, I can notice a difference in myself. I'm more aware. I'm a little bit more proactive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kinder to people. I'm a better friend. So doing those things consistently is probably how I'm going to show self-love to myself. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
Well, it's never too late to start.
To start meditating and doing journal entries and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good.
Very good. All right, Alana Jaylo.
Mr. Rick Hammond.
Mr. Rick Hammond.
Until next time.
Until next time.